Friendship, for example, is a real gift.
It's an insane world. In it there is one sanity, the loyalty of old friends.
You're the best friends anybody ever had.
Alone, bad, friend, good.
Bubba was my best good friend. I had to make sure that he was okay.
Friendship and family, these are the things that matter.
Can we just become best friends? Yep.
Touch my friends again and I'll blind you. Thanks, Mike. You're my best friend here.
Lose one friend, lose all friends, lose yourself.
We ride together, we die together. Bad boys for life.
That's what friends are for, right?
Friends? Louis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
If you're not over here in 15 minutes, you can find a new best friend. You've been saying that since the 5th grade.
Welcome to the I Am Your Friend podcast. I am your host, Aiden Licker. This podcast is still sponsored by nobody, but it should be coming. We hit the thing. I keep explaining this. I should stop doing this at this point, but I hit the thing that told me I'm eligible, and it says they're working on an ad for me to read, and they just haven't gotten it to me yet, but we'll get there. Anyway, thanks for listening. Our guest today is our friend Sara, who is a local stand-up comedian. I met Sara doing stand-up at open mics and stuff, and we became good pals. Went to see Nate Bargatze together, short notice, which was fun. And for a little bit, you served me coffee.
For a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a star barista.
There you go.
Not really.
That seems like that should be a specific, like, trademark for Starbucks to own, you know? They're star baristas.
You think they'll buy that from me?
You should sell that to them for sure.
I'll try.
Yeah.
I'll write Mr. Starbucks.
There you go. Sara, thanks for coming on.
I'm so happy to be here. I love this. I'd say we became fast friends.
We did.
Like, once we met each other, we had a lot of similarities that I think gelled us pretty quickly.
Right. Liked a lot of the same comics. Our comedy style, I feel like, is very similar. It's very, like, dry and sarcastic. Yeah.
I get that so often. Everyone's like, I love you. You're so sarcastic.
Yeah, that's that's what we're going for out here. Yeah.
I'm not, though. Like, my whole life, people think I'm funny when I'm just saying things to them.
Right.
And that's it's like a blessing and a curse.
Yeah. See, mine is like, I mean, sometimes it's like that, but for me, it's also like people are like, wow, you're a dick.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh man, I wasn't trying to be a dick. It's like, I'm just like being sarcastic. Yeah.
Well, that's like when I first started.
Which I guess is being a dick, but.
When I first started recording myself to listen to my sets and like listen back to like learn from myself. And if you're not recording your sets, you should be, you know?
I have every single set I've ever done, unfortunately. Most of
I know.
them are trash.
Some of them I'm like, I can't listen to this. It was so bad.
And there's some that, for real, it's like when I bomb.
It hurts.
Yeah, it's like, I don't delete it, but it's like I'm never going to listen to that.
I keep them forever, and I'm like, no. But when I first started listening back, I realized like, oh, I sound really mean.
Yeah.
Because when you get going, you're like, oh, shoot, I sound like that all the time.
Right.
And it's a harsh reality when you first start listening to yourself in that way.
Totally.
Like, I think you learn a lot really fast just from that.
Yeah.
It's hard to do, too.
Yeah. How long have you been doing stand-up?
If we exclude the pandemic, I would say a little under 2 years.
Okay.
So
you started right before things shut down, and then you had to stop.
Then I had to stop and think about it for 2 years. I was like, I miss this so much.
So yes, my thing was I was about to start December 2019. I had run into Zach Deach. Mm-hmm. Shout out Zach Deach.
I'm sure he's listening.
He might. We do talk every once in a while. But
I'll tell him we talked about him, and he'll listen the whole way.
Oh, that's your.
You should have mentioned it at the end. Shit.
Right, I know. But yeah, so how I got into it, and Zach knows the story, is we ran into each other at the Pink, and I actually didn't know him at the time. He was with like some of my friends who introduced me to him, and he told me he was a comic, and I was like, dude, I love stand-up comedy so much, love the art of it. I'm a big like stand-up fan, always have been. I've always wanted to try it, but I'm like, I have no idea how you even start. Like, and then he kind of gave me like, the groundwork of like, oh, you write jokes? I'm like, yeah, I write them in my notes app on my phone. He's like, great, take those and go to Tudor Lounge on Mondays and go to Nietzsche's on Tuesdays and Milky's on Wednesdays and Good Bar on Thursdays. And,
all of them. The grind.
Yep. And just go up and read. You can read from your phone to start. You know what I mean? Like, that was the whole thing I didn't understand. Was I was like, because my biggest fear was that I would fuck up.
Oh yeah, dude.
Like how I was telling it. So he's like, no, just bring your notes up. And I was like, what? Like, I didn't even
I can
understand
do
you
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, at that point I was focused like very heavily on my band and stuff. But I was like, that was my plan. It was in the back of my mind. I was like, all right, I'm going to start writing jokes more seriously, and I'm going to go hit an open mic. And then pandemic hits, and I'm like, all right, well, we'll get back to that eventually. And then when Max moved back to Buffalo,
you knew him before he moved?
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
all
through
right.
like the music scene and stuff. Max and I had been friends.
Shout out Max,
Yeah.
too.
Max was friends with like the guys in my band before I was in the band with them, so I knew them, knew him through them. Yeah.
Okay.
So Max had moved back to Buffalo when he was from living in Spain, and I had been talking to him about his stand up. Again, just as like a fan of stand up, like anybody I know that's going to start it, I'm going to want to go see him and stuff. So I started going out to the open mics just to see him do it. And then I was like, oh, I think I could do this. Like I felt way less intimidated.
So you had
once
a friend
in
it first. I just
Yeah.
kind of jumped in.
Right. Which I think most people do.
Yeah. They started noticing me and I was like, shit, I have to go up. Can I swear? I can swear.
Yeah, of course.
All
It's a
right.
podcast. Yeah.
Once you get a sponsor though.
Right.
Once Starbucks sponsors you.
Maybe, yeah. I wonder, yeah. I don't know. Because, like, most comedy podcasts have, like, tons of sponsors, and they say
We'll
the
find
most
you
absurd
one.
things,
Like
know?
Adam and Eve or something. I
Oh,
feel like that's
that would
always
be
the
great.
first one
Yeah.
for podcasts.
Yeah. Well, the first one is going to be the podcast hosting site, which you hear on a lot of podcasts as well. I'm not going to say their name because they didn't give me the ad yet. So if I'm not making money off of it, they're not getting anything from me. But so that one is usually, but then you get like Adam and Eve, and you get
Honey
usually
and
like
whatever else.
yeah, the honey, and then like erectile dysfunction medicine is
Oh.
always a hair loss medicine and stuff. I hear a lot. Delta 8, that kind of stuff. I don't know. I listen to too many podcasts.
I guess so.
Yeah. Do you listen to podcasts at all?
Yeah, I listen to a few. I listen to like Your Mom's House. I kind of dropped off of that.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Well, we were just on a road trip, so we did a few podcasts. We did one called Sawbones, and it's like a married couple who just talks about medical things throughout history. Like the woman is the doctor,
Okay.
and so she's like, oh, this is how they used to like do lobotomies, or like this is what
Oh, that
they
sounds
use
kinda
mercury
interesting.
for
Yeah.
throughout the ages, and like birth control, or it was pretty interesting. It's
I
a
love
good
that
dynamic.
shit. Like during the pandemic, I was very into like the informative or like history.
Gotta
like,
learn something.
Any stuff that was like very like I love learning shit. Like so, especially stuff like that is so cool. And then I don't know. I think once I started like dabbling again with the idea of starting stand up, I just like went full in, and now I only listen to comedy podcasts. Like I don't even listen to anything else. So yeah, and that's where my life's at now. Me and Max were talking about starting our own comedy podcast. It's like a duo. But,
Really?
Yeah. And every time I see him, he's like, when are we going to start our podcast?
Didn't he just start one?
Yeah, he's got another one doing it. Yeah.
Huh.
It hasn't started yet.
I'm just
They
glad I'm on
recorded
this one
episodes,
before
but they
he
haven't-
is.
Whoa. Yeah.
I'm calling him out. I debated him the other night. Did you see those photos?
I did. Yeah. What was going on with that?
Okay, so this is comedy for all the listeners out there. It's how glamorous it is. We had a show. No one came. Right before the show started, a drunk old man fell and broke his hip right outside of the entrance.
Where was the show?
South City Tavern.
Is that the one in South Buffalo? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I saw Lutz coming up.
Yep.
Sean Lutz. Shout out.
Sean Lutz.
We saw him outside because, he's so tall. So we just saw his top half looking down at somebody. And we're like, what is going on out there? And they're like, Jack, John, whatever his fucking name was, fell and broke his hip. And we're like, oh my God. So just Lutz was out there with him for 20 minutes.
Lutz is such a nice guy.
He is. Well, I think he fell onto Lutz's foot.
Oh,
So he was
had some
involved
sort of
by,
obligation.
yeah, he had to stay.
Yeah. All right, I take it back, Lutz.
Yeah.
You're a dick.
He's all right.
Yeah, no, he's good. He's I love Sean Lutz. He's
do
one of my
too.
favorite local comics because I love how he just like yells essentially.
His
You know
Long
what I mean?
Island yelling.
Yeah.
Every time I see him, I'm like, Sean.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a lot of
He's
good
great.
jokes about being Jewish that I appreciate.
Oh my God.
Great appreciation
Jokes we can't
for the Jewish
repeat.
culture. Yeah.
We
No,
cannot.
he has to tell him. Yeah.
Yeah,
I also
we
don't
can't
want to
tell
ruin
him.
his bits. If you see Sean Lutz on a show, go see him and you'll hear it. It's good. It's fine. So Sarah, you're moving to New York City.
I am. Not as soon as I'd like, but we're getting the ball rolling.
Sure.
So I'll be there in the whole month of July. I'm apartment sitting for my cousin.
Cool.
So it's a free apartment in Brooklyn for a month, which rules.
Unheard of.
I know. I was like, I'll watch your cat. That's great. We're going to go down, figure some things out, try and find some jobs. Ideally, I'd like to find a remote job or a design job.
Yeah.
But we're just going to see what happens. Like, we have to come back anyway, tie up some loose ends, but this is like the big first step before doing it.
Yeah.
Unless we hate it, which I don't think I'll hate it.
You've been?
Oh,
assume,
yeah,
right?
yeah. My whole life. I mean, I have family there. I try and go as often as I can.
Yeah.
Which is not as often as I'd like,
I know.
unfortunately.
I love, dude. You're
But
preaching to the choir, man. I love New York City.
It's amazing for music, comedy, art, anything you want to do, food, anything.
I just got back from, did a little weekend run in Canada with the band Spaced. Shout out Spaced. I filled in on guitar for one show and was
it was your previous guest, right?
Lexi,
a few weeks ago?
Yeah. Which she crushed it all weekend. She did guest vocals for the headlining band at the Toronto show last night. Yeah, which was their home. The band is Like Pacific. They're from Toronto. They had a headliner show last night in Toronto that was nuts. Like this show for a Sunday night, and it was Pride. It was Toronto Pride yesterday.
Oh, really?
So like I did not expect much from this show, but it was packed. It was insane. And then the band had Lexi come up and do the last song, did guest vocals for the
What was the venue?
Hard Luck or something like that. I'm probably super wrong on that.
It's all right. I miss Toronto too. That's a great city.
Yo,
we used to go there a lot before the pandemic.
I've never I've only gone to Toronto for like a day trip. Like I've gone up to like go to
really?
a show or something and then came right back. So we played Waterloo on Saturday night and drove right to Toronto and stayed at the singer of Like Pacific's apartment. And he lives like right in like the heart of Toronto.
Wow.
Well, at least it seems like it. I don't know the geography of Toronto, but like we were in the city.
Downtown.
Like, yeah. And it was to spend the whole day there was just so cool. Like I gained a lot of appreciation for that city. It reminds me a lot of Philly.
Really?
Just the way things are set up felt a lot like I've only been to Philly once, so I'm basing it off one thing.
Yeah, I've only been once.
But it felt a lot like Philly for some reason. But it was a Canadian Philly. But dude, Toronto's so fire. Amazing food everywhere.
Oh,
everybody in Canada is so nice.
Yes. Last time we were there was right before the Trump election.
Oh, interesting.
And every time somebody found out we were American, they were like, oh, what do you think?
Yeah.
I was like, not good things.
Right. So similarly this weekend, every time people found out we were American, they were asking us about Roe v. Wade getting overturned.
Oh, God. We don't have enough time for that, Aiden.
I know. No, it was every time I leave, something bad happens. Like the last time.
Are you connected to it?
I don't know. I remember when I went the last tour I went on, the Kyle Rittenhouse ruling happened where he was like found innocent after like killing 2 people, and I remember just being like in the van and just doom scrolling forever, and it like weighed heavy on my mind for a long time while I was on the road. And then when I was in New Orleans when the Buffalo shooting happened.
Oh my God.
And that was like,
you're cursed.
I know, dude, every time I leave, something bad happens. Yeah. So like that sucked, because I was like at a bachelor party and we just got there and it was supposed to be like,
fun.
The time of our lives. And we're all like, fuck,
God.
dude, like our home has been,
a hellscape.
Getting terrorized. Yeah. And then I go to Canada and Roe v. Wade gets overturned like on our way there. And it was just like, fucking A, dude. Like, yeah. So, that was tough. But Canada, they just seem like, obviously they got their problems. First of all, went into Canada pissed off because they hit us with a random COVID test.
Really? Yeah. Do you still have to get, what is the testing now?
So now it's like, because you have to use the Arrive Can thing to show up. Like
what is that?
It's like a pre-check. Yeah.
Okay.
So you have to like fill out who's all going and like what you're like. You fill out all the stuff. It does make the process much smoother to get through the border, which is nice. But part of the Arrive Can thing is like when you do it, they just randomly select anybody who's registered to get COVID tests.
Oh.
So we just got hit with, they let like no issue getting through. They just come walking out with 5 like PCR tests, like take-home tests, but you had to like register the kit, and then you had to get on like a FaceTime call with like a representative.
with a physician,
yeah,
and then
they have to like watch you do it, and then you have to mail it in and all this shit, dude. It was a fucking
how long
nightmare.
did that even take? What do you mean mail it in?
You had to like we had to take them all
Can't you
to
just show them like it's negative?
No, so like they literally gave them to us at the border, and we're like, go to Canada, and then while you're here, within a day, get those mailed.
What's the point of that? Why
I
don't
don't
they
know.
just do a rapid at the border?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, why not just give it to us like while we're sitting here?
Yeah, 15 minutes max.
Yeah, no, it was a nightmare because also, you know, the data is weird, like on your phone. So like you get only like half a gig a day of data.
What's your phone plan?
I mean, I got Verizon Unlimited, and like I get international data, but it's a half a gig a day.
I have Google Fi. I think I have.
Whoa.
Yeah, I
The
like it.
cell phone network?
Yeah, it's pretty damn good to us. We get, I think we get like international. It's pretty good. I switched a few years ago, and you only pay for what you use for data, unless you have a max.
Interesting.
Dude, my phone bill sometimes is like $30 a month.
I wonder about some of these phone plans about like, because, you know, like I just assume if it's not like Verizon or AT&T and now like, you know, T-Mobile and Sprint merged, I'm like, if it's not one of those, I feel like it can't be good. But I see, I don't know, like I hear those Ryan Reynolds commercials. You know,
Oh,
Ryan
the
Reynolds has
Mint Mobile?
Mint Mobile.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
and I'm
God.
like, I kind of trust him, you know?
He's handsome. I trust him.
Yeah, he's Canadian.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Oh, he is. All right.
So I trust him a little bit. But yeah, no, same thing with Google Fi is what it's called.
Google Fi. I wouldn't have done it myself. Andy got it first.
Yeah,
shout out Andy. Shout out Bloom and Rose. Hey, that could be a sponsor.
Well, it's Bloomin' Rose.
His business.
Oh. I'm sorry. I didn't know that. I don't know about
That's all right.
his business. Why don't you tell me about it so we
It's a
can...
Knish business. They're delicious.
Knish?
Yeah.
What's Knish?
Oh, God. It's like a Jewish deli food.
Oh, I
They're
do
like
know what this is.
pastry with potato.
I'm such a fucking asshole. At the beginning of the podcast,
And
I'm
you
talking
don't
about
watch
how I
this.
have a great appreciation for Jewish culture. And then I go, what's a Knish?
No, you didn't. Use like Sean's jokes.
Well, I do have an appreciation for Jewish culture.
If anyone's getting sponsored by them, it's Sean
All
Lutz.
right. He has a Knish business. Cool.
He does.
What's it? Bloom and Rose?
The Bloom and Rose.
Okay. And
They just do markets. They're in a few groceries. I think
Cool.
Lexington Co-op, Village Artisans.
wow.
Yeah.
Damn, that's
I hope
nuts.
this is all accurate.
Yeah. Did you do like farmers markets and
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah. Elmwood, Kenmore, a few others. I feel like
Damn, I gotta have Andy on here.
you should have. He's been on a podcast.
Yeah, I would love.
Now
that
we're
sounds-
evened out.
That sounds so interesting.
What podcast had him on?
I gotta
It
get
might have
more
been a
like
food one.
more like.
Andy would love to do it. He's got a beautiful voice for radio too. I always
Yeah.
tell him that.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I fell in love with him.
His voice.
Oh my God.
His speaking voice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've never heard him sing. We've been
Yeah.
together 8 years. I've never heard him sing.
He doesn't sing.
He doesn't sing.
No.
We are
Speaks eloquently.
Yes. He can't waste it on singing. That's
Right.
why.
Yeah, that's fair. I
We're
waste
quite
mine on
opposites
singing.
in that way. Like I'm very eccentric, very all over the place.
Yeah.
And he's like my steady
Yeah.
rock
He's a mensch.
foundation. A mensch?
Yeah.
What is mensch? That sounds bad.
No, ask Andy. He'll tell you. It's a
Mensch?
Jewish thing.
Is it He's not Jewish though.
What? All right. Why is this man out here culturally appropriating
No,
Jewish
no,
flag?
no.
He's
His-
off the pod.
His partners are Jewish.
Yeah. No,
You're
I'm
not
just-
Jewish. You can't come on my podcast.
Well, you're not going to
That'll
come out
go
here and talk
well.
about Jewish food. No, I'm just kidding. No, a mensch is like a Yiddish term for like an upstanding person.
Okay, like so a shiksa. I'd be a shiksa though, because I'm not a Jewish woman, right?
I don't know.
Eh.
Now you lost me.
Save it for Lutz.
I know some stuff. I know that calling somebody a mensch is like they're a good.
It sounds like such
they're
a
a good person.
not good word.
Yeah.
All right.
You ever see those TikToks that are Jewish or anti-Semitic, where that guy goes through New York and he finds Jewish people and he just like names like any topic and he's like, would you consider this Jewish or anti-Semitic? And they have to decide. It's
No,
very
like
funny.
what? What's an example?
Winter, like is winter Jewish or anti-Semitic? And people are like, that's Jewish. It's very Jewish.
Really?
They're saying summer is anti-Semitic. Yeah, because it's too hot.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh my, it's too hot.
Yeah, it's funny. That's funny shit.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always had some and maybe it's tied into like my love for comedy because so many great comedians were Jewish. But I've always had such a fascination with Jewish culture. I think it's fun.
I will say, I don't know if this is It's not. When I was little, I really wanted to be Jewish.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I still do.
And I think it stemmed from wanting to upset my grandmother. Like
Does your grandmother hate Jews?
No, she's just extremely Catholic.
Yeah.
And I see this was my form of comedy was pushing the boundaries with my parents and family members. Mm-hmm. And I'd be like, hey dad, cause I have older parents. So like my dad is 70, I'm 27. So it's quite a gap, but his mom was just an old Italian woman. And I was like, I'm going to tell grandma I'm converting to Judaism because she was such a Catholic guilter. She would tell me and my sister, I can't die happy until you and your sister get your communion and your confirmation.
Wow.
I know. And we were like, ooh, sorry, Graham. Like, no way.
Yeah.
So my dad was like, if you tell her that she might die for real, don't tell her that.
So you didn't make your first communion? Or damn, I got all that shit.
Did you really?
Yeah, I had to. Yeah.
We were the only ones that didn't, I think. Because my parents didn't really raise us Catholic.
Oh, okay.
Like there was a scandal one year for, I think, Easter. My mom dressed us in leopard print, and my grandma was so upset.
We can't do leopard print on
I don't
Easter?
know. I guess not. But she was just like, this is not religious.
Yeah. Well, I think on Easter is like,
this is not fancy
you're
enough.
supposed to wear like, a nice dress.
Pastels.
Yeah, pastels.
She did black and
suit.
leopard for all of us because we would match, me and my sister, because we're only a year apart.
Well, I mean, how old was your grandmother?
Oh, God. She died when she was 89, which was like 7 years ago. I don't know. She was older.
Yeah.
Old.
Yeah, it was more conservative.
Very
values.
traditional.
Yeah, traditional is what I should have said. Not conservative, traditional. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would just try and fuck with her as much as possible. I was the youngest too on that side, so I was always punching up.
Yeah,
I had older boy cousins,
yeah.
so that was my way of like, this is how I'm gonna make my mark on the family, is kind of just mess with everybody and make them laugh.
There you go.
And I think it helped a little bit now.
Damn, yeah, I wish I would have. See, that's funny because I think we've talked about this before about how like you were always like the go-to like funny person in your family, right?
Yes.
Yeah, which I am not.
Really?
Like,
that's so funny to me.
I would say like if you surveyed my family, I would probably come pretty low on the list.
Who's top? Who's funniest?
Well, I think my thing is like my entire family is funny. Like,
okay.
My brother Danny's super funny. My brother Brendan is the funniest person I know. Like, that kid's fucking hilarious. But he's just like they're also like naturally funny. Where I have just always been like an observer of like, I was like, oh, he said that and they all laughed. Why did they all laugh at that? And I'm like, if I said that same thing, would they laugh? And it's like, no.
It's delivery.
Right. And like, so like I was always an observer of like, how can I do that?
Interesting.
So yeah, so I think when I started doing stand up, like some of my, I mean, I don't know how they responded. Some of them came and like, to the Buffalo's Funniest event. And so obviously, there they were like, you were funny. But I think I'm willing to guess that a lot of my family would be like, what? Like Aiden's doing stand up? Like,
really?
Yeah,
see, mine, they were like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Right.
Which, it's funny you said that you observed and tried to figure out how to be funny. If I ever made people laugh, I'd be like, oh, why are they laughing at that? Like,
Right.
I'm just saying, and it's the sarcasm curse. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just saying stuff. And even on stage still, like if I don't have anything to talk about, I'll just bring a premise and kind of just spit something out. And if
Sure.
I get a chuckle, I'm like, okay, that part works. Now make more on that.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's interesting. I always like finding or hearing about how people start, because it's always
let's
I
do that.
Find that
how
it's
did we start?
typically,
Why did we start?
How do we start? I mean, I already told my story of how I started stand up.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go.
Yeah.
I just decided one day, I think, because
End of story. Cool.
Yep. That's it. Podcast over. End tape. No, I
just did it.
I just did it. Yeah. Done. I had kind of kicked around the idea, and I remember the day I did it perfectly. Like, I was at work, and I was just like, today's the day. Like, I can't go any longer without trying it. I just have to do it. And then I went to Milky's, and I signed up, and I sat there terrified. Milky's was my first mic.
Yeah.
Milky's. I love it, though. Like, I love Milky's, and I love Nietzsche's because of how the room is set up.
Yeah.
Like, I do much better in my opinion, when it's more of like an open floor plan.
Yeah.
Because Nietzsche's, you're right there, same level, conversational. Milky's kind of the same way.
Yeah.
Like Good Bar.
Good Bar set up like it's a show.
Good Bar is too intimidating. Like I do enjoy it, but it's harder to see people's faces.
Totally.
And I'm much more, I don't know the right word. I just feed off of people's energy.
Right.
So like I just think I'm better in conversation. I come up with witty things just off the cuff. And if I can't see people, I can't do it.
I'm the exact opposite.
Interesting.
Where,
Yeah,
like,
calculated.
I am terrified of anything getting thrown at me because I am like a writer. You know what I mean?
Really?
Like I am writing every piece of my joke and like framing it perfectly to make it work, you know? Where
That
like,
ruined me.
So that's honestly why I like the Good Bar mic, because like everybody at Milky's and at Nietzsche's, people are there. A lot of people are just there to just sit at the bar.
Yes.
They're not necessarily there to listen to comedy.
Nope,
You know?
and I love the
Where
challenge.
At Good Bar, because it's upstairs, everybody is there to see comedy. Mm-hmm. And that's what I kind of like about it, is that it's like I can try to like, you know, when I get up there, like people are actually paying attention rather than, you know, it's just people who just got
Hopefully.
off work and are just sitting at. Yeah, it depends what time you get it.
Yeah.
When all the comics are
Depends
fucking
who's there.
lined up at the bar and
Yeah.
how late it is. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so how'd your first mic go at Milky's?
Enough. It went well enough for me to keep going.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I recorded it. That's the only one I haven't recorded, I think.
Wow.
Which is, I don't know why I
actually didn't record my first one either at Nietzsche's.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even know that was a thing. I was so nervous, and I was just like, you know, working on getting my, like, just making sure I didn't fumble over my words, that I didn't think about anything.
Yeah, it went well enough. I think I made Jesse chuckle.
Nice. Yeah.
But
that's a
it
big
wasn't-
deal. When he lets out that, ha!
I don't even know if it was that strong. It might have been like a,
Yeah.
you know, and I was like, oh, I'm nailing it. This is great.
Yeah.
But if I were to listen to it now, oh boy. I think it takes one laugh for you to want to keep going.
Totally.
But like bombing hurts
It does.
so
yeah.
much.
I mean,
So much.
I still haven't really taken on a full, like, bomb. Like, because,
Okay.
like, well, no. My thing is, like, I've only bombed in rooms where it's like 3 people are there.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like,
it's hard to like nail
I
it.
haven't bombed in a full room.
Okay.
But I'm just doing mics, which I think mics are much more forgiving. I mean, I don't know. I probably have, like, maybe at Nietzsche's I don't know, but like I haven't. At least I haven't felt the, you know.
See, I'm too hard on myself.
Okay.
So even
I mean,
if
so am I, but
even if I did okay, in my mind I'm like, oh, I bombed.
yeah.
And then I'll go home and just sit in it, and I'm like, ugh. Have you ever? This has happened to me a few times where I just lay in bed, and you just let out a noise because you're like, that's all I can do.
Right.
You're just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Next time it'll be better.
Right. I think like all that's happened to me is like I know so there's some nights at Nietzsche's where like I'll be telling my jokes and nobody's laughing, but nobody's paying attention either. So I don't consider that bombing. You know
No.
what I mean? It's like nobody's even listening to me. But like what I picture bombing in my head, it's like full audience staring at you, nobody's laughing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I haven't had that yet. So
Good.
luckily what I've had anyways attention, I at least, you know, I have some jokes that don't work great, or, you know, or just one joke that didn't get a laugh, but like something I said earlier got like one chuckle, you know. So, but I know I'm waiting for it. I know it's going to happen, you know.
You're due a bomb
Yeah,
or two.
absolutely.
But see, this is what you didn't have to figure out, I'm guessing, but I did, is like you have been a performer
Right.
for a long time, right?
Yeah.
When did you start?
13.
Okay.
Started
yeah.
playing,
So like
being the front man of a band.
oh
Yeah.
God. So and I think I mentioned that when we first met. I was like, you are new, but you're not afraid.
Right.
Which makes a huge difference.
Yeah. I definitely like, I've always been like a good public speaker. I remember in like the 6th grade, I like got selected to like read something, like do a reading at like something for my school district, like for like the board of like, what is the Board of Education for like my town.
Really?
It was like a huge event, and there was like 50 people there in suits, and I was 11 years old, and I had to go up and like do a reading for it. And I remember being
What did you have
terrified
to
of that.
read?
I don't even remember.
Huh.
I just remember doing it.
How bizarre.
But I remember like they picked me because they were like, you're like you
won't cry on stage.
yeah, and I just like, I don't know, and I went up and I did it, and they even like, I remember they like changed what I was supposed to read like right before.
Oh.
Yeah, and which like, who the fuck
That's
does that
show
to an
business.
11-year-old?
They're like, you seem confident. We
Yeah.
made a few changes.
Right, yeah, but I think I did well, yeah, and that was like, and I remember people making like a big deal out of it.
You didn't
of,
record
like-
it?
Yeah, right. No, but like of people from like the district being like, you're a very well-spoken 11-year-old or whatever. So like, I did always have like, yeah, that's never, I've always been like naturally good at public speaking, I guess.
I have not.
But I will say there is such a huge difference between like going and playing music and going and doing stand-up, because the silence that exists between every word of stand-up is insane.
It feels like way longer than it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And where like with like playing in a band, it's like you're playing a song that like you've written and practiced. Like it's so specific which notes you have to hit, which melodies you sing, and what words fit there. Like it all like flows very well. Where like telling a joke is just like,
You're on your own.
yeah, there's no like, I mean, there is like in a sense a rhythm to it, you know what I mean? And like a way to deliver it that can be like a song, but it's like, but it's never the same, you know? And like at any point, somebody can yell something out and like throw a complete fork in it that you have to be ready for.
Yeah.
And that part of it is terrifying. I mean, the first time I went up at Nietzsche's, I remember my legs just shaking.
Really?
Like my legs were shaking so bad. As a person
I
who's
did
been
horribly
performing
at Nietzsche's my first time.
Yeah.
But now it's my favorite.
I think, I mean, they like, I definitely got some like sympathy laughs because like Samson introduced me and was like, there's a new comic. Like, I remember him saying like, how do we treat new comics? And like everybody clapped, and I was like,
Shout out
it made me
Samson.
feel better. Yeah. Shout out Jake Sampson. Good dude. And yeah, so I went up and I feel like I definitely got, you know, sympathy laughs and stuff. But what was
Yeah.
cool is that like, you know, I had then after that, like after doing it for a couple months, like I saw somebody's first set as well. So like I made sure like,
And you watch and
right,
you're like, who's the new guy?
yeah,
We gotta see
throw
if
him
he's
some
good.
sympathy laughs. Yeah.
I don't do
So-
sympathy laughs. I don't. I'm sorry.
It depends.
I don't do
Yeah.
fake compliments either. I don't like doing the good set.
Well, I
if
love
it
that
suck-
for you. Yeah.
For
Like,
me,
yeah.
don't lie to people.
Yeah.
We are in the business of you find out really fucking quick if what you're saying
I
works
know.
or not.
Yeah.
So like if you bomb and then I'm like,
I
good
definitely-
set, Aiden.
right,
Come on.
Well, so there's like, I also am a person who like laughs easily at things. Like I just think a lot of things are funny. Like my threshold for what I find funny is very wide. So I remember there was one night at Nietzsche's where I won't say who it was, but they went up and they did a set, and like I don't know, I guess people weren't laughing at it, and I was like laughing pretty hard. Like I thought these were really good jokes, and I didn't know the guy. I still don't really know him that well, but then he walked by and I was like, hey man, like those are great jokes, and he like totally was like fuck you to me, like not like word for word, but just like
He was just like, yeah, right.
yeah, like
Was it a newer person?
no,
Oh.
very established person.
Oh,
but,
see, and that's the thing when people have been doing it for so long, like they get sour really quick.
But see, for like, and I was like, not like, I was very genuine. I was like, dude, like I loved those jokes. Like they were making me laugh, and I just wanted to like share that, you know. And then for that, and I was like, all right,
Yeah.
like I get it, you know, but it's also like, I don't know.
Yeah. Honestly, like, maybe this is my own delusion, but like, I would much rather accept a compliment from a non-comic
Yeah.
than a comic.
Right. Well, this guy didn't even know me, so there's no way he knew I was a comic. But
Oh, well, there you
Yeah.
go. Although sometimes if it's a comic you respect and then they're
Right.
like, that was like, you handled that well, or you
Yeah.
did that. Because I remember specific times where that's happened to me. I'm like, oh shit. Okay.
yeah,
I'm all right then.
Right. That happened to me recently. When I did the mic at OSB. You were there for a little bit, but that was the first time I went up there, and there were
That one's tough.
Yeah, it was, and I got lucky that night that I happened to know a group of the guys that were hanging out at the back table.
Oh, so they listened.
Yeah, so I did.
That's a talkative bar.
Yeah, it is. Well, I guess on those nights, it's the same nights that they do softball, like their sponsored softball team plays. So they all come in and just like party at the back, and I knew a lot of those guys. So
Who's their sponsor? You can get them for the podcast.
the softball team is sponsored by OSB, the bar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
so it's like a bar league thing.
I'm trying to get you a sponsor.
I
So
know. I
hard.
thought about that, about like trying to get like local sponsors, because this is basically a local podcast. Like I'm only talking about Buffalo, two Buffalo people people listening are Buffalo people, you know. So like, I don't know. I just don't know how to go about doing that, but maybe. But yeah, anyway, that happened at OSB. There were a few like comics there who like I really respect and think are really funny who like gave me compliments on my set that night, which was when that was like my set leading up to my performance for the Buffalo's Funniest Thing.
So it matters.
It did matter, and it was awesome that because that was like I did like the exact set that I did at Helium I did it at OSB that night, and got some compliments from like pretty like seasoned vets, you know. So I was like, that's sick. Like that made me feel really, really good, you know. So yeah.
Well, what else do we have in common? Music. I was raised by a musician.
Yeah.
Which I think is helpful. It was very helpful.
Yeah.
Like before my my Buffalo's Funniest, I was like so terrified because I had never performed at Helium. I had never, like after the pandemic, I don't think they had any mics there. Yeah. So I was like, Dad, how do you handle being nervous for something like this? And he was like, oh, you're on your own. Like, at least I have a band. Like, you're just by yourself. Yeah. And I was like, was that supposed to make me feel better?
Right.
It did not.
It's a completely different level of like having attention on you, you know?
Because at least if you're playing music, you can't hear the disappointment in the audience.
Yeah.
Or you can't hear just like
and like
snarky comments,
right? And even so you can't hear what the crowd is saying during your performance, and like pretty much no matter what, like even if you royally fuck up, like for the most part, when the song's done, everybody claps.
Yes,
you know, so it's like,
I mean, people clap after mics, but it's not.
Oh yeah, well,
it's not the same. It's more of a pity, like, all right, get them off the stage now.
Right. Yeah, it's a formality. Yeah, and with that, but yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I've been loving it though. I've been loving doing stand up. I'm so happy I started.
I love it too. It really changes you, I think.
Totally, like it does, man. I feel what's so funny is that I've been in like comedy mode for so long. I was on this tour, weekend run in Canada, and you know, the band that I was Space is a hardcore band, and all the rest of the bands were like pop punk, like emo hardcore kind of bands. So like the thing is like, and I used to like be a big like avid member of that scene, you know, and the people in that scene are generally like, you know, alternative people who are like very sensitive and like, you know, very progressive and like, which, you know, I consider myself all of those things, but it's like I almost had to shift gears out of comedy mode because I was just like, we were talking and I was like explaining. The context of this is going to be weird, but like I was explaining that I had an old nickname that people used to call me that stemmed from a derivative of the word penis.
What was the nickname? Okay. You can't just graze over that.
Fine. So I had friends who used to call me Poiden, which is because they used to refer to their penises as a poid because of like the pud. Like, you ever hear the expression pulling your pud?
No. All
right. Well, now you
have. Is it a male?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I don't know. Pulling your pud. It's like another word for jacking off.
Okay. That sounds not fun.
Yeah, I know. Well,
it sounds like taking a shit.
Yeah, it's right. It seems to make it more of like a mundane exercise of, I got to go pull my pud or something, you know, but he's up there pulling his pud. Anyway, it's fun to say, actually. There's the good alliteration.
I'll leave it to you. Yeah.
Sure. Anyway, so I used to hang out with these guys in high school that like would refer to it as a pud because it's like hilarious to call it that, and then like they, you know, they changed it over time to poid, and then
that sounds like your name,
right? So then they started calling me Poiden, and then like so then that transferred a little bit when I got to college. Like somehow a few people caught on to that, and so like I have a few buddies, one of them being in the band, shout out John Vaughn, who still calls me Poids. And he was like, does anybody still call you that? I'm like, no, not really. And then like I was explaining the origin of it, that it comes from penis. And I said the word penis like 10 times. And like my buddy Dan is sitting there like looking at me like, dude, like what, like you're just yelling penis. Like there's people everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm just like, and I'm like, what's wrong with that? Like I can't say the word penis. But then I like an hour later, I like thought about it and I'm like, oh, and I'm like, I am like totally like in a different element that I'm used to right now, where like I've been in full comedy mode where it's like, say whatever you want.
Comics are shameless.
Yeah.
It's kind of ruined talking to non-comics.
It's crazy.
Because like I'm very straightforward.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
and I'm very
Same.
blunt.
I'm a very direct person.
It helps narrow out like friends.
Yeah, totally.
Like I'll have friends for a minute and then they're like, "Oh, you're too much,"
Yeah.
or you know.
Yeah.
But like, I will say things and then horrify my mother or my sister or just like non-comics.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, did I say something weird or
Yeah.
wrong?
Right. And it's like I don't think I'm ever really saying anything like outwardly offensive.
Yeah.
You
That's
know?
my issue too, Aiden.
No, but I don't know, but sometimes I will say things and like depending on who's in the room, people will be like, Jesus. And I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"What?"
Oh,
Like,
I get that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It is weird, but it is, yeah, it does. It changes you, especially when you spend, I mean, when I'm going to Mike's every day.
Every night of
and
the
you're
week
spending your
almost.
time around comics all the time. It
All
does.
the
It like there's
degenerates.
this shift that happens, but it's good. Like I like it.
I love
I feel
it.
like I can like fully be an unfiltered version of myself.
Mm-hmm. I think that's why I fell in love with it so fast.
Yeah.
Was like, I was always very shy, which is hard to believe. I
It
think
is.
after knowing me, oh yeah, I used to like hide behind my mom's legs, like. I wouldn't talk to anybody.
Sure.
My dad was like, I didn't expect it to be you to be
Yeah.
the one to do this, but I'm so happy that it is because it just made sense.
Yeah.
Funny story. Kindergarten graduation. Shout out ABC Daycare.
Where's that?
Williamsville.
Okay. I feel like we had one of those too.
Yeah.
in South
ABC 1, 2, 3, whatever. We had a kindergarten graduation, and I remember I was so terrified. I cried and ran off the stage in the middle of the ceremony.
Wow.
Because we had to sing songs.
Yeah.
And I just like couldn't handle it.
Sure.
But now I'm doing stand up.
Well, look at you.
Look at me.
Overcoming. Yeah.
What would you do if I started crying in the middle of my set and ran off the stage?
I've seen that happen. Not in stand up,
Oh shit.
but I saw one time I went to this performance for like a girl that my friend was dating was part of. It was like a vocal coach. Like this like vocal coach puts on like a showcase of her students who she's a vocal
Oh
coach
yeah,
for.
yeah.
And,
Like a recital.
Yeah, there we go. And I went to like, support my friend's girlfriend, and there was a girl who like came out and like went to do a song and just like froze.
Oh god.
Yeah, and just like started crying and was just like, I
Oh,
just put the
no.
mic on and just ran off the stage, and I was like, yeah, it's tough to see. You feel so bad.
Yeah.
But it's also like, oh my God, like it's like creates so much tension in the room, you know?
Yeah. Well, because everyone's like, is she okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
That happened to me. I had a piano recital when I was young, and one of the other performers, I think, was like puking in the bathroom.
Damn.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, if you can't handle it.
Yeah. I mean, kind of like got in. I always wanted to perform. But I think like a little bit of like a shyer kid. Mm-hmm. And I think that like I started like almost forcing myself to be like outgoing to like,
Really?
I don't know, to like overcome that or something, because like all of my older brothers were all like very outgoing people.
Are you the youngest?
Second youngest.
Second,
Yeah.
okay.
So like I almost kind of like from a young age like realized that, and so I like forced myself to like do that. But it was weird. I have this weird thing where like I almost like hate attention, but like but I love performing and I love entertaining.
I love the attention.
There we go. Nice. Well, I like yeah, I don't know. I just like the performing, but what I hate is like when I'm done, like I wish I would just disappear from the room.
Afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Like,
I get
I
that.
hate playing a
Walking off
show.
stage and then
When I play a show like with the band, like I come off stage and like everybody wants to talk to you and stuff like that, like and I want to like thank everybody for coming and all that stuff, but sometimes it's just like I just hate it, and I'm like it's overwhelming, and I'm like I wish nobody would look at me. You know what I mean?
Really?
Like, yeah, it's a weird thing. So and I'm like, but like this doesn't make any sense. I'm like, because I wanted everybody here to see me, but like it's almost like I want you to see what I created. Like I don't. Not me. Don't look at me. Look at what I made. It's like almost like that thing. Yeah.
It's interesting. Like I think everyone kind of has their persona on stage. I don't think mine's too far off from who I actually am.
I don't know what mine is. I think
yours is pretty similar to who
That's
you are
good.
too. But we're also so new. Like
right,
I'm,
that's what
by
I mean.
no means
I'm
not.
I'm a few months into this thing. I don't know what my on-stage personality is yet.
But I think part of me loving the attention and pursuing it a little bit was watching my dad.
Yeah.
Because from I think I have a bit about it, like growing up in bars and just learning how to talk to people in that environment and like seeing my dad just yucking it up with everyone and like telling jokes in between sets, and like that was his form of comedy. That was his way of, you know, thinking he was the shit.
Right.
Obviously other than performing, but like I think it made a big impact on how I handle myself and how I just go about the art form in its own way.
Yeah.
So, but I also grew up watching somebody perform. It was just an interest. Like nobody else's parents did that.
Right.
So when I was like, oh, my dad's a musician or in a band,
it's a unique experience.
they're like, oh, mine's a lawyer.
Right.
I'm like, cool, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting.
I think it taught me how to not be afraid.
Yeah,
like,
totally. Absolutely. I have to imagine. Yeah.
And it's so bizarre because I was chronically shy up until maybe when I started stand up.
Yeah.
Like my friends and family know me as being outgoing, but that's about it. Like until I get to know you, I'm very reserved. And like, I don't really know where I was going with that. But besides the fact of like, it just taught me how to get over it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah, with anything, you know, whether it's just interacting with people or performing, I mean, the more you do it, the easier it gets. And yeah, I don't know. I fell in love with comedy so quickly once I started doing it. I was just like, you know, I commit trying to hit a mic every day, you know, and like I've never done that for anything. Like
exactly.
wanting to do it every day, like every night I'm going to go and I'm going to get to Milky's at 8 p.m. and not go up till 11:30. And then I'm going to drive back to West Seneca and get up and go to work in the morning. You know, it's like I do that every Wednesday. Yeah.
That's how I knew I enjoyed it. Cause I don't want to put that much work into anything else.
That's what I'm saying.
And I was like, oh shit, I must really like this because that's the only thing I've tried for and think about constantly.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things where it doesn't feel like work. You know, and but that is what you're doing. Like you're working at it and everything. So yeah, I love it. And I think I love it because I don't know, as I'm getting older and like I still play in a band and everything, and I'm starting a few new projects. Like I'll never stop writing music and stuff. I love that. But what becomes hard is like when I am like, I've always, you know, just been like a dreamer, right? Like I just want to be a performer of some, like, I love entertaining people. I always have. And that's just all I want out of life is just to entertain people.
Agreed.
And so if I can make that a living, I'm going to figure out how to do that, you know? But the thing was with playing in a band is you have to rely on other people.
Yeah.
And you rely on other people who maybe their vision doesn't align with yours, or, you know, the type of music they want to play is different, or they're not as committed to it as you are, aren't as driven or whatever. So, you know, I think the reason I loved comedy so much, because it's like, oh, I only have to rely on me. And if I'm only going to rely on me, then I'm going to be super driven throughout this entire thing and fucking never take a day off, because it's like, this is the first time I've not had to rely on anybody else. You know?
I used to hear a lot of band drama too with my dad of like, oh, this person's starting something new or working on, you know, practicing with this band more, or like they're not practicing our songs, or like they're out of key or whatever. And just, it's just you.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know, being a solo artist, like I tried that. It's like, I don't know, you have to be good at every instrument, and I'm just not, you know what I mean? I put all of my eggs into playing guitar and singing and writing.
I wish I played
kind
more
of music, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, to be like a good solo artist, like I need other musicians like to help me, you know? And it's like, and that's like not sustainable. So
I mean, even with comedy, like when all of us get together and talk we talk out bits, and it's like, oh, I wouldn't have even thought to go that way until you laughed at it, or until someone else laughed at it, or they're like, this would be a great tag for that. And that's one of my favorite things too, is like talking about a bit with somebody and then watching them perform it. Like I've talked about that with you, and like just watching it do so well. And you're like,
I mean, you helped me.
I was a part of the. I watched you flesh it out. You know.
Yeah, you helped me come up with what's literally my best joke right now, which I won't. You know, I'm not gonna say it on here because I want people to come see me. I want to be.
It's
able
a good
to tell
joke. You better go see him.
But yeah, when we were going to Nate Bargatze, that's how you asked me one question, and it just like.
And then we got going.
God, that's the joke.
It is one of your best bits, and I love watching you do it every time.
Thanks.
Because it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's developed into, I think, a really solid.
Can we talk about kind of the premise?
Sure.
Because I think it's similar to my growing up experience. What even brought it up? Siblings?
Yeah.
Because
and you
you're
were
all
like-
boys, I'm
right,
all girls.
Yeah. So you were like, so there's 6 boys in your family and none of you are gay.
Oh, yeah. I was like, are one of you gay?
Yeah.
And you're like, funny you say that.
Right. Yeah. I was like, yeah, none of us are gay. And I was like, but I guess like if one of us had to be, it would be me. Like I was the closest one.
We're both the
Like, I'm
gay ones.
Right.
We're
and
the
I think I
gayest
even
ones.
said like I'm the gayest brother. Yeah. And then I was like, oh my God, that's the joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now like the joke is, better than that. But, but yeah, but that was it. So yeah, what was your upbringing?
So
How many siblings do you have?
I'm the youngest of 3 girls.
Okay.
So I always wish I had brothers. I think I'd do a little better with brothers. But I had a lot of older male cousins.
Yeah.
Which I think I said earlier. And that kind of taught me how to be a little tougher. I think with sisters, though, it's more psychological trauma. And with brothers, it's a little more physical trauma.
Yeah, it's both.
No, both?
It's both. Yeah.
Dude, I have one sister who's 11 years older than me. And she would have to babysit us sometimes. And she would just tell us the most fucked up things.
Yeah.
Shout out Chelsea. She's great. They're both great. But she once told us, we spilled nail polish or something, and she's like, uh-oh, you don't want mom to see that. Like, have you ever heard about Tom? And we're like, no, who's Tom? What's that? And she was like, Tom was my older brother, and he pissed off mom, and she killed him and put him under the floorboards.
Holy fuck. Yeah, your
And we were
sister's
like,
a demon.
whoa. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a school counselor now. I find that interesting.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
What a curveball.
No, but we would all we torture each other. Like, and it's funny because Andy and his siblings aren't like that. But
Yeah.
me and my sisters were like, what up, bitch? You stupid.
Right.
I
guess
which
me and my-
I don't know
yeah.
why, but that's just how we talk to each other.
Yeah, I feel like me and my brothers me and my brothers are just like, I always tell people like, if you have on the off chance you get to sit in a room while me and all my brothers are together, like you're gonna laugh a lot, like because we just all just like
Really?
go, and we all have like very similar, like I mean my dad's super funny, right? So we always grew up around, and my dad's like he has like the corniest dad jokes, but he's like the king of them.
Really?
Like,
That's
he
my other sister loves
is so
dad
good
jokes.
at making puns, and he's so quick, and he's always like right on the money. My brother Danny's just like him with that, and like that's what makes me mad because I'm not that quick with it,
See, that's my other, like, I'm quicker, but I'm not good with the regimented writing and editing.
Yeah, I'm very much lean towards that for sure. I've always been like that, I think. And I'm like even in like I'm much better like having a discussion like via text than in person, because like I can like take a second to like organize my thoughts. Like if we're in like a tough conversation, like a hard conversation to have, it's very hard for me to
You should not have
articulate.
any tough conversations on text. I'm not a believer in that.
Oh.
You got to make a phone call. Voice to voice.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always been bad at like articulating my words, which is always.
I mean, I still am. I just don't like to text.
Sure. No, I understand the sentiment of it. I'm not saying like I'm not breaking up with people over text
Okay.
or anything. I'm just saying like sometimes it's just like easier for me to type things out to express what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Rather than just like trying to discuss it just because. And I think that's why I've always leaned towards some sort of art form, because like I always struggled with articulating like
I mean,
how
I
I
do
was
too.
feeling and stuff,
I
so it was
just-
easier to like create art with it,
Yeah. I just spit stuff out and then regret it later. That's usually my style.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm jealous of that though.
No, it's not the best trait to have.
Yeah.
It's part of the abrasiveness, I think.
Yeah.
But it also helps. Like, I also sometimes lack the filter of like, you shouldn't say that to somebody.
Right.
But I'll just go into a conversation and be like, oh, let's talk about this now. And they're like, what? Okay.
Yeah. So you're not afraid to call stuff out?
No,
Yeah,
no.
which I like.
I like to roast
I'm a
people
huge
and
pussy.
call them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am. I'm like so nice to people, you
Yeah.
know, and like what we were
I don't
saying
like
earlier,
it.
we're like, you'll never like give somebody the sympathy laugh or
Nope.
anything. It's like where I like, especially like before I started doing stand up, if I went, like I would go to the Buffalo's Funniest contest just to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And like if somebody wasn't doing great, but it's like I understand what they're going for, I'll toss them a laugh, you know, because it's
Yeah.
like I appreciate the art that you're going for here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know, I've always been like that, but I'm like confrontation like scares the shit out of me.
Oh, I don't like confrontation either. I just, sometimes I'll dish it out, but I can't take it.
Okay.
Which is another kind of issue. But whatever, it's the spice of life, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
So moving to New York, are you moving to New York just like literally just for the dream of like
a few things? Like I always wanted to live there since I was little. I love the city. I love city living. I like Buffalo, but it's kind of small. Like after a few years, you're like, oh, I know everybody now. Which I would always hear people say that, and I'm like, no way. But now it's like you run into people everywhere. Everybody knows everybody. Everyone's dated everybody. Yeah. Everyone's related, which is fine. Yeah. But
I reached that point too where it was like, I mean, when I was single, it was like I didn't want to talk to anybody.
Really?
It was like, I don't know. It was impossible to meet somebody who like I didn't know through you dated this guy, I know him, like, and now like if we start seeing each other now, he's gonna have a problem with me, and like,
I could see
weird.
that.
Like the Buffalo dating pool was so like,
I've heard that from a few people.
Terrible. It was awful.
I'm not jealous of that.
Yeah, and it's tough because like, I don't know, like Buffalo's just got a lot of like normies. You know what I mean? Like just people like
we say that a lot in our little industries, don't we?
Yeah.
Normies.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. It's just like, it's just, so it's like the dating pool is all just like, you're either like a normie or it's like somebody super cool, but like they've dated 6 people, you know?
Yeah.
You know? And it's
that's tough.
Yeah. Thank God I am dating somebody now who I just am good with.
Well, I've been with Andy for like 8 years, and so
good for you guys.
I know, it's wild. I can't believe he still likes me. I'm like, wow, you're still in this, huh? But I think I kept it interesting the past few years with the stand-up. I'm like, we have a new activity to do.
Yeah.
But he's my favorite person to bring with me because he, like at first, I remember we talked about this a while ago. The first time he ever saw me, I just bombed so fucking hard. And I had like, it was at Milky's, and I had my whole set planned out. I was like, I'm going to tell this joke. I'm going to smoothly transition into this joke. It's going to be amazing. And it wasn't Jesse hosting. Shout out Jesse. It was some other guy. I forget his name. And right before I go up, he's like, I want to smoke a cigarette. Can you do a full 5? And I was like, no problem, dude. So then like, as soon as I get up, it was like a chaotic night at Milky's. Just one of the weird nights.
Yeah.
And like 2 seconds into talking, people started playing music really loud in the other room and like shouting and shit. I think they were playing pool. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it really threw me because I was still like pretty new. And so I just started rattling off my jokes. I was just like, here's my joke. I am reciting it. This is the line. Yeah. And like I was having hot flashes inside. I was like, oh my God, how do I get off stage? But also like not look like I'm panicking. And I look over, I see Andy just like smiling at the bar, and I was like, oh, this is truly a nightmare.
Yeah. It
It was the worst first experience of him seeing me. And I was like, I don't ever want to do this again. But now I'm like, please come with me because you're the only one who cares about the jokes I'm telling.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm trying to do. And like, he'll give me feedback, which is really nice. Which I really never expected that. Like I didn't expect to like him coming with me as much as I do, because like he is one of the funniest people I know. Honestly. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And people are surprised by that because he is so quiet. But that's partially why I love him. Like we're very opposites, but he's hilarious and he'll roast me so good. I love it.
That's awesome.
I
love that. Yeah.
But he'll be like, yeah, you told that joke weird.
Yeah,
or he's
nice.
like, you looked really weird up there.
Right.
And I'm like, fuck, I did. You're right. But he won't lie to me. He won't give me the sympathy. Good set, man.
My girlfriend's so sweet. She's so nice to me.
I know, but she saw you win a competition. That was a great first time, dude.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing is like she, you know, wants to come out to Mike's, but I'm like, listen, you can come out to the mic. I'm like, but you're gonna hear me.
It's boring as fuck.
It's so boring. It's like going to the gym to watch somebody work out. You know what I mean?
That's a great analogy.
Thank you. But yeah, it is. It's like I'm going and I'm like trying stuff. Like I'm not performing really. Like it's like I'm like, and you're gonna hear me do like if you come to every like a couple mics in a week, I'm doing the same jokes.
Yeah,
you're gonna
she
hear
can
me do
hang
the
out with
same
Andy. They'll
jokes.
sit there
I
in
know.
misery.
She's gotta start coming to mics because she's a teacher. She's a teacher, so she's off.
Oh,
in
summertime. There you go.
She'll be coming to hang out at mics for sure. But no, that was my thing. Is like I was just weird about like it was like I don't know.
It's weird merging those two worlds.
Yeah, and like having to like there's a lot to understand, I think, about the comedy world. There's a lot of like unwritten rules. You know, and there's a lot of like all this stuff that like I don't know that I just I was like, let me just have this be my thing for a while until I figure it out.
I had that phase.
Yeah.
I kind of kept it close to my chest. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want you to see me up there. I don't want you to know what I'm doing or talking about or,
I'm definitely getting more comfortable
It's your
now,
special
though.
thing and you're
Yeah.
insecure and you're like,
And I'm just like,
"Ooh."
I'm trying it. Like, I don't know. Like, I could go up and suck every night. And my thing is, like, I know
You
she's
do.
going to.
No.
Yeah, there it is. But I know she's going to, like, support me no matter what. And, but it's like, I don't know. For a while, it was like, but I'm definitely more comfortable now. Like, now I don't care. Like, I still don't, like, promote mics, but, like, I'm not, if people are going to be there, like, I would, it's cool for people to be there. But
It is.
yeah.
But it's nice having somebody who is there with you, especially who is not a comic,
Yeah.
because they care.
Right.
They
And
care a little
she
more.
loves stand up and stuff. So, which is cool, which is good. So,
Oh, wait, we were talking about New York. How did we even get to that?
I have no idea.
I don't either.
But
Either way,
Yeah.
I'm moving there.
Yeah.
I always wanted to live there. I wish I went there after high school. Like I
Yeah.
wanted to go to FIT really bad, and then I just didn't. I picked Fredonia,
Yeah.
our alma mater. Is that the right?
Yep.
Yeah, I
Crushed
went
it.
to college.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wish I went to FIT and went straight to the city, because I wonder if I would have still done stand up though. I always did want to do comedy writing. Like I remember growing up, I would watch Colbert with my mom all the time.
Yeah.
And we would just sit there and laugh our asses off at the monologue jokes, and like I love the political leaning comedy.
Same.
But I don't think I'm smart enough to write it and perform it all the time. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to have that stance personally.
Right. I agree. So we don't know each other. I mean, we haven't known each other for that long, but I'm like a very political person. I'm extremely opinionated. And like, so like everybody who knows me for a long time knows that. And I think what might shock people is that like my comedy is not political at all because of how outspoken I am about stuff. But for the reason that like all the comics that I love are not political. And they like listening to them on podcasts, they always talk about that, like, that's by design. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, do I want like, would I prefer a crowd of like-minded people? Sure. But it's like, I also just want like anybody who's willing to see me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to alienate, a specific part of, my comedy audience, which I think is, that's true.
Makes it trickier.
it
And not
does.
everyone likes the same thing. Like
I also think it's made me like a better person, like
comedy?
making it so that it's like more like down the middle. It's made me like understand, kind of, taking me off the ledge a little bit of like, my very far left, like aggressive political
coming out of it,
stance.
talking
Yeah.
about something other than that.
Right, yeah, and just kind of like, just talking to people about anything else, because like
Yeah.
for a long time it was really like the topic of discussion with everybody I knew. And like that's all I would talk about ever was just like the bad things going on in the world. And like, I don't know, it's nice to just
Good thing
like,
we met through comedy then. Shit.
Yeah. Why are you like a Nazi? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Oh,
Jeez. Thanks,
didn't
Aiden.
know. Yeah.
No, that's not. I wanted to be Jewish, remember?
oh yeah.
It's opposite.
Same. Yeah.
But no, I don't want to go up there and preach to people. Be
That's
like,
kind
this
of
is
what
my
I-
opinion
yeah,
about this
yeah.
and this.
That's-
It's like I want to make you laugh about ridiculous things
Right.
that I think about.
And I think I could definitely go up there and make some good points and get some claps, but it's like, but is it funny?
Probably not.
Right. And I think there are a lot of comics that do that where it's like they just like have their stance but it's like, but are you being funny about
Too
it?
aggressive. It's too
Yeah.
in your face.
And like I love like I grew up watching, Colbert and Jon Stewart.
Yep.
Bill Maher even though Bill Maher is more like, he is a comedian, but more actual like political dialogue rather than just like being funny.
Yeah.
And like I love Carlin. Carlin's like one of my greatest heroes in general, not even just like comedy, like just as a person. And obviously, like for the last decade or so of his career, he was extremely political. And I look up to that so much, but he was so special and so perfect in figuring out a way that like it resonated with everybody,
Yeah.
no matter where they were on the political line.
That's
It
a
was
skill,
yeah.
yeah.
And that is like, I would love to get to that level for sure. But definitely not where I'm at. So I'm just going to tell jokes about
Yeah.
being almost gay and call it a day.
Yeah. I like to tell jokes that like people don't want to laugh at. Like, I like grossing people out or
Yeah.
like saying things that like no one else wants to say.
Yeah, you like to shock.
I do
value
like
a
to
little
shock
bit.
people. Well, like
Yeah.
I said, growing up, I would try and say shit that would upset people.
Right.
Because they would be like, I don't want to laugh at that, but I'm going to laugh at that.
I resonate with that a little bit for sure. And that's definitely like, I know that you love like Tom Segura. And
I
that's
love
like
Tom
definitely-
Segura.
And I think that's like something that you and I like, that our humor is similar in is that like Tom Segura is like literally he's like,
I love,
you know,
love
I've
him.
I've loved comedy, like been watching stand up since I was like, you know, maybe 8 or 9 years old. I've always loved stand up. But Tom Segura, when I first saw him, like, I don't know, I was a freshman or sophomore in college, like his first Netflix special. And I was like, oh my, like, this is like,
a
I
storyteller.
want to do that.
Yeah.
Like, not only a storyteller, but like just a real person. Like how
Mm-hmm.
you were saying, like, just like, he's just being himself. When you're watching him perform, it seems like it's like your buddy.
Yeah.
Chilling with you at the bar, just like telling you a story.
Conversational. I
That's why I
love it.
love like Shane Gillis too. I don't know
Yeah.
if you're familiar. Like Shane Gillis is the same way. Like when you're listening to him talk, it sounds like you're just listening to like a dude you went to high school with, just like chilling at the bar telling you stories. And it's
Yeah.
like, and now those are like my favorite comics. And like, so that's,
It's
yeah.
easy. They make
Yeah.
it look easy.
And that's exactly like was like the driving force of like, if I'm gonna do it, I want to do it like this, where I want to just like be exactly myself, just telling stories in like a very funny way, you know?
Yeah. And I kind of let that influence me a little bit because I think when you first start, I don't know if you went through this, but like I was really hard on myself in trying to figure out like who I'm trying to be, what my voice is,
Right.
how I'm trying to come off, you know, which in reality it takes years upon years. And like once you figure one thing out, it's like, all right, what's the next challenge that I have to figure out? But like I learned quickly that the kind of joke teller I am not, and which is more calculated, and like if I have to keep reciting the same thing over and over again, I ruin it for myself. Like I
Sure.
just nail it into the ground. And I've gotten stuck in that cycle a few times of like, I need to like nail these jokes, blah, blah, blah. But the fact of the matter is like, I know the joke. I know what I'm trying to say. I don't need to tell it word for word the same way every time.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's like as long as I know where
Yeah,
I'm
no,
going
I
with
agree.
it.
I agree.
But it's
And
like
I've
the room
definitely-
changes how you tell it.
When I first started writing jokes, I was writing them out word for word of like, you know, how I would tell it. Now I kind of like just like come up with the topic. I know what the punchline is. You know, I know how I'm telling it, and like I'll change it up every once in a while. Like but yeah, it's definitely less calculated. And actually Max is the one who got me, who kind of like instilled the confidence in me to do it. He's like, you know the story, like you lived it.
Yeah.
You know why it's funny. Just go talk about it. Like don't act like you're reciting words. Like go just have an interaction with people and tell them the story.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, so I started doing that was actually the same night as the Buffalo's Funniest. Me and him
Oh,
went to
really? That was
Milky's
his pep
after.
talk?
Well, we went to Milky's after.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to do the same set I just did at Helium. Like,
You
I
went
wanna-
up that night?
Yeah.
Oh.
And it was all new stuff. And it was the same where I wrote the topics out, and Max was like, what do you think? And I like kind of went over it with him, and I was like starting to write them out. He's like, dude, just go up there, look at those 3 topics and just talk about them.
Yeah, I
off the
agree with
cuff.
that.
And I love it.
Yeah.
It makes, and especially because I'm like much more confident now just from doing it so much of like getting up there. They're like, oh yeah, I don't need to be like reciting myself here.
It's not fun to watch either.
not,
If you can
no.
tell someone's like, ba, ba, ba,
Yeah,
ba,
yeah,
ba,
yeah.
ba, ba, ba,
Right.
pause for laughter.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
just-
Yeah.
It's not good.
And that's kind of what I mean in like the difference of like playing a song, you know, where it's like you're doing the ba 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 ba
Yeah.
pause like all at the same time. It's all extremely calculated, you know.
Just sounds better.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. That's where I'm at now.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how I write my jokes too. Like I think it's also like my ADHD, so I don't love assignments. So
Shout out ADHD.
shout out ADHD.
Same.
But I just like to think of an idea, go up there, see what comes out of my mouth. It's not always the best approach,
Yeah.
but it has gotten me places I didn't think it would as far as
Right.
how a
I think
joke
it's
goes.
it's literally like, you know, it's throwing paint at the canvas and then being like, oh, I do see something in that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just throwing random strokes of paint and just be like, oh, this could be a painting of a tree.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like it's you're going up there and you're just going off the cuff on the topic. you know some of the funny things you want to say in it.
Yeah.
And then you do it once at a mic and go, oh, okay, these parts worked, these parts didn't. Let's do those parts that worked again. Let's change the parts that didn't, you know?
And it's always a bummer too when like you think something's the funniest part and everyone hates it. Like I just wrote a joke like that and I was trying to make it work a few mics in a row and I'm like, fuck, no one gets it.
Yeah.
All right, scrapping it. Because it honestly, I think it made
which joke you're talking about.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
I won't recite it.
Yeah.
But it made Andy laugh off the bat.
The SPF one, right?
The SPF.
Yeah.
Well, the punchline, it's essentially.
See, I know. I don't want to ruin it, but
it's ruined. I'm not telling it anymore.
The thing is, like, so the joke is in the punchline there that Sarah says something about spiffy, right?
So my drug of choice is sunscreen because I'm very pale. It was inspired by a music festival because I had just gone, and I was like, I need to write a few new jokes for a showcase because I don't like telling the same stuff over and over. It just comes off inauthentic, in my opinion.
Right.
So it was essentially me pretending to be a drug dealer and being like, oh, I have SPF 50, I have SPF 30, I have sweatproof. Anyone trying to get spiffy? Yeah. And so it was supposed to be SPF and literally dead faces in the audience.
So the first time I saw you tell it was at Nietzsche's and you said it and it was dead. But then you said, you're like, SPF. And then everybody
people
cracked up, which I think works.
Yeah, but I don't know. Because I tried it the night after at Milky's and I was talking too much to the table in front of me. And I was like, would you have gotten it?
Right.
And she's like, not till you said it. I was like, all right, cutting it, whatever.
So,
I'm not going to fight that fight.
I think the best, I don't know. And that's what I mean is like, I think the best way to do it is like say it. And then, you know, I mean, I know you're not supposed to explain the joke, but I think it's different when it's
it
just
depends
like,
on the joke.
Right. But just literally saying SPF right after saying spiffy.
Yeah.
Like it clicks with everybody. It's like, oh, that, yeah.
I think I followed it once with like, oh, those are the street terms or something.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't get it.
Right.
I don't know.
The first time I saw you go up was right after you had gallbladder surgery.
And
you just went up and talked about that. And that was like, I thought that was so goddamn funny.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I was, fresh off of gallbladder surgery. I was like, how can I make this funny?
Yeah. You must have had gallbladder surgery like when I first started.
I rode that wave too. Like that got me some good jokes.
Yeah,
but
it was good.
I can't always be like, hey, just had surgery.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I guess I could.
Yeah.
I'll find out something else to get removed.
Or you do what Max does where he has the joke where he says, my cat died the other day.
3 years ago.
And then everybody goes, oh.
Everyone loves
and then he
that.
goes, a few years ago.
Yeah.
Crushes every time. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Writing is hard, but it's fun.
It is, yeah.
It's very rewarding.
And I'm so addicted to it right now.
It's addicting and it's painful as fuck.
Where it's like I'm always just looking for it. You know what I mean?
Which is bad sometimes too. Because I'll come home like hot off of a set and I'm just like still in comedy mode.
Right. And you're just trying to make jokes out of nothing.
And Andy's like, it's midnight. Like, I'm relaxed.
Yeah. I do. Sometimes I get like so manic in riffing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then when everyone's outside hanging out and we're all like, you're hilarious. No, you're hilarious. Yeah. You're hilarious.
Right. I love that. We had Milky's the other night. Was a good
No one else thinks we're funny but us.
Yeah.
And it's hard in real life.
Yeah. Milky's last Wednesday was a good hang because it was super nice out and we were all out hanging out up front.
Oh, I was gone.
No, you were there. It was past Wednesday.
When did I come back in town? It might have been that day.
Yeah, you did.
Oh wait, duh! When I was writing the spiffy jokes.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is the same night. Yeah, but it was a good hang. We were out front, and it was just like everybody was just
great.
like riffing off.
Summertime at Milky's is great.
Yeah,
the patio. Oh, you haven't experienced it yet, really?
I mean, I'll get it this week, but yeah. Oh, that night sucked for me though. I literally didn't end up going up till midnight.
Yeah,
and there was fucking nobody there. There was like two.
I've done so many of those.
2 guys sitting up front, and there was 5 comics sitting at the bar.
Really?
Yeah.
It's tough when like no one's listening to you, and it's so obvious. Because as soon as you go up, and then you can hear the chatter like rising, and to me, it's like, all right, I know they're not listening to my jokes, so how can I get them to listen to me? And one time, it was so bad at Milky's, and like. It was just everyone talking about everything. And I was just like, oh, what's happening outside? And it got dead silent. Nice. And everyone looked. And then I was like, oh, how do I follow that now? I don't have a joke for that.
Right. You got them. Now you got to reel them in.
Then they laughed. And I'm like, boop. All right, that was it.
So
if I was more experienced, though, I'm sure I could have, you know, it's just
Wednesday,
learning.
Jesse was like fucking with me before I was about to go up. And I wasn't like paying attention. So I mean, I was there for 3 hours. everybody had left. I'm super tired. I'm like, and I'm just like looking at what I'm going to do. And he's up there like about to introduce me. And then I hear like a question. And I look up and he's looking at me. And everybody at the bar is now looking at me too. And I was like, what'd you say?
No.
And he goes, if Milky's were to add a glory hole, would you think it would make this place hotter or dirtier or something like that? I don't know. I don't even remember what the choices were, but it was one. Would it make it more like this or more like this?
Nothing about Milky's gets me turned on.
Yeah, no, nobody. I don't remember. I was so tired. I don't remember, but I was just like, and I was so not prepared for that. And I was just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Both. And then he was like, that was a fucking shitty answer.
Oh.
And then introduced
worst
me.
answer.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, this guy's coming up now.
Right.
Get
like,
ready.
He gave me like a layup to like be funny right now before I bring you up. And I just was
too
like,
much pressure.
Yeah. I was like, I got nothing, dude. And I went up and fucking did terrible. And then I revisited the question that he asked me. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll pick an answer. I'll pick a side on that question. I said it, and then everybody like cheered, and I was like, I'm going the fuck
this
home,
is fake
dude.
cheering. Fuck your cheers.
Yeah.
It's a pity cheer.
Yeah, Milky's is rough sometimes, but
It
I
is,
like
but I
going there.
love it. I love it because it was
Yeah.
my first mic.
Yeah.
I think
right.
everyone has that.
See, Nietzsche's
sentiment.
was my first mic, and I love Nietzsche's.
I hated
just loved-
Nietzsche's at
I loved
first.
how welcomed I was there. I mean, dude, Jake Sampson and Jake Pisker are just such sweethearts.
Yeah, they are.
And I love just, they just both were very welcoming to me, which I appreciated.
I know. Pisker called me the queen of Nietzsche's once. I was like,
Wow.
I know.
Yeah. It's high praise.
Is it because I'm one of the only females that goes there? I think that.
Jake Pisker's what I like. He's the guy who hugs when you say hello to him. Like he hugs everybody when you say hello. And I don't know. Or he's just
I don't know if
hugging me.
I've ever hugged Jake.
Really? He hugs
I don't
me every
hug
time
people.
I see him.
Why am I?
Yeah.
Do I seem like a hugger
you might be
to you?
Jewish. I don't know. Yeah. This is very like you're very giving Larry David vibes right now. Like, don't hug me.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, right.
That's a great compliment.
Of course it is.
Like, don't fucking look at me. Don't touch me. You're an idiot.
Well, Jake Pisker gives me a hug every time he sees me, and I really appreciate that about him. I appreciate people who are like that. You know?
I don't hug any of my friends, though. Like, me and my best friend, I don't know if we've ever hugged.
Yeah?
I think I hugged her after her dog died, which is warranted.
Yeah.
You know? Other than that, though, I don't really like to touch people that I'm
Sure.
not dating. Is that weird?
No, I don't
Are
think
you
so.
a hugger?
Not necessarily. I'll if you're offering one, I'll give it to you.
I was gonna say,
know?
like, if you were to be like, I could use a hug, I'd be like, all right.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ever gonna say that.
Yeah.
If somebody could use a hug, I'll give them one.
Yeah.
You know. I'm gonna bring up my buddy John Vaughn again. Sometimes he gives me hugs that are too long,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm like, all right, you've been touching me for too long.
Yeah.
Is that a raised Catholic thing? You think maybe? Are you Irish too?
I'm Irish Italian.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
So yeah, Irish, Italian, Catholic. Yeah, maybe there's got to be something in there.
I mean,
think,
I
that was
do
just
enjoy
like, we're
hugging
not
my
an
family.
Well, actually, Italians I feel like are very
We're affectionate towards each
bunch.
other.
Yeah, the Irish are not. We're not an affectionate bunch at all.
Oh, my mom's
We're
side.
very
We're a
bury
tough
everything.
bunch, dude.
We shake hands. It's like
We drink a lot. So my
Same.
mom's side is pretty big, and we're all female. Like, we're like the Conway clan.
Yeah.
So they're obviously, her maiden name is Conway.
Yeah.
But we're all very tough women.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because every time we bring a new guy into the mix, or someone brings someone from the outside, they're always kind of shell shocked and like
That's how it is in my
terrified.
family, too.
They're like, "Whoa, you guys talk a ton.
Yep.
You sound mean, but you're
Yep.
having fun. Like, are you angry at each other? Or are you happy?" And no one really knows how to gauge the situation until, we
Yeah.
kind of knock them down at first and let them figure it out.
That's kind of So my that's the exact same thing with my mom's family for sure. The O'Neills. Mm-hmm. And
That's really Irish.
Yeah. And my cousin Nick always says that, like, same thing.
Nick O'Neill? That's
his
oh.
last name. I'm not gonna say his last name. He's a teacher, but his mom is an O'Neill. But he always talks about how, like, when you bring, because there's a shitload of us, dude. My mom's got
There's
nine.
a ton
My mom
of us.
has 9 siblings.
I think my mom's 7.
Yeah, so there's like, I got a bunch of cousins, and we're all super loud and like
Yeah.
always ripping, like roasting each other, like, yeah. So my cousin Nick always talks about how, like, when you bring an outsider in, he's like, they're gonna sink or swim, man. Mm-hmm. He's like, you're gonna bring them around, and they're either gonna keep up with us or they're gonna fall behind. We're not gonna give a fuck about them.
And we all, honestly, like, with the exception of a few, we all date quiet men because they just they can't get a word in.
Yeah.
Like, we all date very patient, kind,
right,
like, steady men.
Yeah.
Because we're all just, like, all over the place.
Yeah, that is interesting. I feel like it is the same.
We need that
for the women
balance
in my family. Yeah, like the outgoing women in my family, all of their significant others are very like.
Yeah, if I was with somebody like me, it wouldn't work. I would probably be offended all the time.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I can dish it, but sometimes I'm like, ooh, no. And, like, I don't want to hear them talk that much.
Yeah.
Which is...
That's so funny that we are like that. I feel like that all the time. I know.
We're too into ourselves, I think. Maybe that's why we perform.
We've got massive egos.
We do.
Yeah.
God, and when it goes well, it's just, you're on top of the world, and then no one wants to be near you.
Yep. Yeah. I know, and I try so hard to fight that. Like
You ride the wave.
Well, I
kind of
hate, like, after the Buffalo's Funniest thing, like, I was in that situation, right, where it was like I'm a new comic.
You were very you probably felt the wrath of the vets.
I was very nervous to be around them because I was like,
not wrath. I shouldn't say wrath.
No, I mean, they were all like, everybody told me congrats. Like,
but there's tension. You can feel it.
There is tension for sure. I got compliments from like dudes who like I think are super fucking funny. Like, so that was cool. But yeah, no, there is a weird tension, and it's like, you know, because I'm like,
I was nervous for you when I saw it was you and Max. I was like, oh shit, who's gonna be mad?
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean, that was my thing, is like, I immediately was like, almost like, I want to get out of here. Like, I'm like, I don't like, because I don't want to, like, I don't know how I'm gonna react, because I'm obviously excited, I'm stoked that like this happened, but I don't want to like show that. You know, like,
you were very reserved. I think we were all more excited for you.
Yeah.
But you kept it cool.
Okay, good. That's good.
You seemed pretty cool.
Yeah. I also had like, I mean, a bunch of people came out.
But you blacked out though.
Because
I said something to you and you're like, I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I black out too. It's interesting how you like.
Well, that was my first show. So like going out on that stage.
Really?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've only done open mics. That was my first actual show.
Have you done open mics there though?
No.
Oh, so you were like me. I hadn't done
First
one
time
either.
on that stage, dude. Those lights are so bright.
You can't see anybody.
It is an abyss.
And your girlfriend was front and center.
Was front row.
Max
dude.
leaned over and told me that, and I was like, "Oh, how funny!"
But I could barely see her.
Really?
Like, that's how bright it is up there. And I like the light, couldn't see the light. So like, and I just like, you know, my heart was. I had never experienced what I was experiencing, like sitting like side stage waiting for the guy before me to get done.
Oh God!
Like my heart was, I could feel it, like racing in my chest, and I was like, "Yo, this is a new experience." Like,
you said that to me right after.
I was like, I've never experienced, like, I've performed so much for 10 years, and I'm like, but this is different.
It's different,
like, and this is also people's first time seeing me perform, and like I had family members there who I had mentioned, like. You know, like, I don't think I'm the funny guy in my family. Like, I am, like, I sit back and observe, you know, or I'm the butt of the joke.
Aww.
So, like, I mean that in, like, almost an endearing way.
Yeah.
I think I'm the easiest to pick on, but, like, I can take it. Maybe I can't. I don't know. But, no, so, like, I really wanted to impress, like, my brothers who were there, like, I think are super funny were there.
Yeah.
So I wanted to impress them. You know, it was my girlfriend's first time seeing me. A bunch of my band friends were there and stuff. So it was
you had a big crowd.
Yeah, so I just really wanted to do well for them. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted them to, like, think I was funny, you know? And, but I got out there, couldn't see anything, and I just, like, I blacked out. Like, adrenaline just took over.
And then you don't know how much time you have, or, like, I don't remember seeing the light either.
Yeah.
So I was like, ooh, bye.
I know. I had to go up to Sam Minnie and be like, yo, I'm like, did I go under? And she's like, no. She was like, you were like.
I think you were right on time.
She was like, it was perfect. Like, it was like, yeah. But, that was tough. But yeah, that is, going back to what you're saying, I do, like, I never, especially, like, if I know somebody, like, when it's me and my girlfriend, just like the two of us, like, I do not shut the fuck up. Like, I just have so much to say always, and she just like sits and listens and asks questions, and like that's why it works.
Isn't it nice finding a partner like that?
I feel
that
bad
like,
almost though, because it's like I'm always like dominating the conversation, and like part of me feels bad about that, but I'm like, it's just how I am though.
Yeah, you can't change it.
Yeah, that's why I started a fucking podcast, because it was just like I have so much to say. Yeah.
Maybe I should start one then.
Yeah, you could. It's very easy. You don't have to do all of what I'm doing.
I mean, Beautiful setup.
Thank you.
I've never looked more pale. That's not true.
Yeah.
Wow. You look tan next to me. A little bit? Nah. Whatever. I'm Irish. It's obvious.
Yeah. I've been out.
I don't try and fight it anymore. No one thinks I'm Italian.
Right.
My sister looks so Italian, and I look so Irish.
Yeah,
and
none of us really
infuriating.
look Italian, although we are. I mean, we're like, there's a lot of mixes going on. But my dad's grandfather was from Italy.
Liquor is an Italian name?
Yeah, it was. Well, so it's a weird thing. It was like northeastern Italy, and it was on the border of Austria, is where my family's from.
Okay, I think we're northern as well.
Yeah, and it switched borders between Austria and Italy, like between the world wars. So there's a big debate of like whether we're Austrian or Italian. So the name sounds Austrian. So it was Licher, and it was pronounced Licher. And so when they came,
It's not Italian sounding at all.
right, very Austrian. But his first name was Marcello, and his brother's name was Giuseppe.
That's Italian.
Yeah, and his father's name was Antonio, like Antonio Licher. You know what I mean? And they look Italian, but they spoke German. So it's a very like,
Wow. Get a 23 in me.
what?
Get a 23
That's
in
what
me.
we did. That's how I know all this.
Oh, you did? Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay. So
Yeah,
you're for
we're-
sure
yeah.
Italian.
Oh,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah. And Spanish, I found out.
Spanish?
So his mother was Spanish, yeah.
Really?
There's a lot going on.
I don't know what I am.
White conversation we're having also.
I know.
I always
I'm
feel weird having this conversation.
fucking white and white.
Yeah.
European.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. Right,
I think I'm
that's
Irish,
it.
Italian, a little Polish,
Yeah.
maybe French Canadian. Someone on my mom's side is French Canadian. I don't know if it's her or my sister's.
Yeah.
I have a half sister, so
I
she's
got a half brother.
she's German Irish, but
Yeah.
I think she looks more like me than my full sister.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
I'll have to show you a photo later. But
All right.
she looks. We have the same color hair. We both have straight hair, pale.
Yeah.
My other sister's olive skin, dark curly hair.
Whoa.
I know.
Yeah, it's weird. My little brother like doesn't really. He's the one who like looks like different from all of us. I look pretty good. Me, no, like I mean, we all. You can tell we're all brothers for sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, this is the most fucking boring conversation.
No, it's not. People like hearing about our
Maybe they
very
do.
specific
Yeah.
family trees.
Yeah. I do love having these conversations.
I
But
do
I'm
too.
just saying we might be the only ones that are enjoying it. But
I'll watch it later.
yeah,
But I actually, someone on my dad's side, I think was like a horse thief or something.
sick.
Like a long time ago, I had a cousin who got really into family tree stuff.
Yeah.
And I could be butchering this, but maybe this is more interesting.
Sure,
like
fuck it, who
someone
cares?
was
No
like
one's
a
gonna
horse
fact check it.
thief and would just wreak havoc and fuck around.
Yeah.
And I love that.
My great grandfather, I think the rumor is that he was a stowaway. Like he like was avoiding fighting in the war in,
Love that.
in Austria, I think.
He had bone spurs.
Yeah. Well, he just like hopped on a ship, but it was like an industrial ship, like not for like people. It was for like
Oh, like riding
goods.
freight trains or
Yeah,
something.
Yeah. So he took
Interesting.
a ship to Ellis Island from Austria and was just like in a box. This is what we're told. I don't know how
That's
true it is.
pretty
but
cool.
Yeah. And then he got here and moved to Buffalo, became a Boston Red Sox fan.
Wow. He
'Cause they
likes
were
to
just really
shake
good
it
at
up.
that time. Yeah. So that's why I'm a Boston Red Sox fan as well, even though I
Oh, are
don't-
you really?
Yeah.
My
I mean, I
sister
don't
was
really-
growing up.
Don't really watch. My dad's a huge baseball guy, so like I'll watch a couple games with him. When the Sox played the Blue Jays at the Salem Field downtown, when the Blue Jays were playing here.
Who are the Bisons for? Are they for the Blue Jays?
Yeah.
Were they always? Or they used to be
No.
the Mets?
The Mets and then the Indians before that. Yeah.
And that is the extent of my sports knowledge.
Yeah, that's
I was-
enough. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sports fan Sarah Morello here.
There you go. I mean, yeah, I don't really, but like, yeah, when the Sox came and played in Buffalo, like me and my dad went. It was
When
cool.
was that? That wasn't too
Last
long
summer,
ago.
last
That was
summer,
okay.
yeah. Those games
Wow.
were fun. You can go to a Blue Jays game and all. It was cool. It was a
I
really
like
cool experience.
baseball.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. Just a major league baseball game, like the best.
I've been to a few Yankees games. Those
Yeah.
are cool.
Oh, that's sick. In New York? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome.
They're
That's dope.
pretty decently priced too.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
If you get the right seats. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't care enough to
That's
like.
I mean, my brother went to Fenway to see a Sox game.
That'd be cool.
A few months ago and like didn't pay that much for seats.
that's like maybe $30.
Yeah, it's cool. I like going to baseball games.
I do too.
They're
I
fun
like.
'cause you don't really have to pay attention.
You don't have to pay
just hang
attention,
out
but you spend too much
outside.
money. I will say the last Bison's game I went to, I think we made it to the 7th inning, and we were like, okay.
Yeah.
Like we had our beer and our popcorn, and it cost like $50.
See, if you
And then-
go to a Bison's game on Thursdays, I should get a sponsored ad for this. But on Thursdays they do Thirsty Thursday.
Oh.
and the Southern Tier. They got like a Southern Tier concession stand, I guess. Like it's like an area of the park you go into that's like a Southern Tier brewery, and they have all the Southern Tier beers. And 12-ounce drafts are like $6.
That's pretty good.
Pretty decent.
12 ounce?
Yeah.
How much is that? Like that?
That's
no,
a
this?
can of beer. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's not
it's
bad.
a full beer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they do liquor at baseball games? Or is that too hard?
I don't know. I'm not really a liquor
bring my
guy,
own.
even though it is my name. I'm really not. I'm a beer guy through and through. Yeah.
I usually do whiskey.
I used to.
That was my dad's
I
drink,
worked at a
though.
whiskey bar.
Which one? Lucky Day?
189 in East Aurora.
Oh.
Yeah. The guy who trained me there is now the GM of Lucky Day. Good dude. Shout out Frank. But yeah, 189 was where I worked. There was a whiskey bar, and I got like really into whiskey when I was working there.
I love it.
Which is cool. It's fun. I mean, I do enjoy. I love going to Lucky Day and like getting just like a nice, just whiskey on the rocks or just like a good old fashioned.
I usually do whiskey on the rocks.
Yeah, I love old fashions
or
too.
vodka sodas. I switch. I have seasons of.
Those are two very different drinks.
I know.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like
was
to
a vodka
switch it up.
water guy for a while.
Vodka
which was
what? You
so-
gotta bubble it up a little.
I know.
Come on.
I did like vodka. It was a shout out to my cousin Nick again because he was a.
This is a shout out episode.
Yeah, I know every episode you gotta, But no, my cousin Nick was like, he's 14 years older than me, but he was like, you want to go out and like feel amazing the next day, drink vodka waters because it's like there's no
it's like
sugar.
half and
It's
half.
just you're getting hydrated while you're doing it. You're getting fucked up, but like the next day you feel completely fine. So
That is true.
I was doing that but I was doing it when I was like 23 and like was not having like hangovers.
I used to do gin and tonics. Those would fuck me up.
Yeah. I never got into the
Conway
G&Ts.
women don't do gin. I've learned.
Okay.
Because it's like some weird, like, I don't know the right word. Everyone would pass it down like, oh, we don't do gin.
I'm like,
oh, we don't do gin.
Okay. I like gin like cocktails. Like, what's that bar in Allen right near Nietzsche's? Billy Club?
Yes.
They got like good gin cocktails.
I like a bee's knees. Very
not
delicious.
familiar.
Prohibition era drink. It's
Okay.
gin, lemon, honey.
Oh, fire.
It's so good.
Yeah.
A few summers ago, bee's knees all the time, every day.
Yeah.
Well, within reason.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's a Monday night and we're drinking beers here. So,
Woo.
but I just got back from, that weekend run and I was drinking and smoking like the entire time. It's
Oh
favorite
my
part of
God.
tour. It's just
I just
like,
ruined myself when we were at Bonnaroo.
Yeah.
Because we were just camping, like wake up, let's smoke a joint and relax.
We went to a dispensary in Toronto that you could literally get like as if it were a pack of cigarettes, a pack of joints.
Really?
And they were like rolled. They looked like cigarettes.
How much did that run you?
It was super cheap. We got two, there were 7 packs for some reason, but they were like 7 joints in a pack. Mm-hmm. So we got 2 of them and it was like $40.
For 14 joints.
Yeah.
Were they good?
Yeah, they were fire.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
And then
That could be your sponsor.
But yeah, it was
Yo,
just
look into that.
Yeah.
Local
Oh my God.
Toronto.
Yeah.
What was it called? We used to go to one called like Cloud 9 or something.
Oh, it was called Buddies.
Oh.
Yeah, it was the name of the
Cute.
dispensary. Yeah, I liked it. Yeah. Yeah, no, it was good. It was cheap, and it was great that they were just pre-rolled. And in Toronto,
Damn.
it's federally legal there too, so you can use card at the dispensary, which is dope. Because in the U.S. you have to use cash everywhere because it's not federally legal.
I did not know that.
Yeah, you have to use cash when you buy weed
I used
legally.
a card at Green. I don't want to.
Green Vision. It's because
Nope, not that.
Okay.
Green Kings.
Is it because it's a sticker shop?
Yes.
Yeah, that's why.
Oh, that's why.
Because you're not
A
actually
loophole.
purchasing marijuana.
I mean, I'm buying stickers.
Right. So
Shout out
that's-
Green Kings.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I got to shout out Green Vision because my buddy Al works there.
Oh. Green
But
something.
yeah, but when dispensaries do like fully open up here, it has to be cash only, because it's federally.
I did not know that.
Yeah, because it's still federally illegal, so you can't go through the banks, so you can't use card.
So what do they do when it comes time to file things?
I remember watching a documentary about it on Netflix. about like it was like the first weed shop in Breckenridge, Colorado. It was like a documentary about them, and I mean Colorado was the first legal state, so it was like them having to figure all that out, and they just had like insane amount of cash on them at all times.
Wow.
Yeah, and like they're definitely. I mean, there's ways of doing it, I guess, but yeah, but you can't use card. That's the thing. But in Canada, since it's federally illegal, card everywhere.
I did not know that
and
at
it's
all.
sick. Canada's awesome.
It is. Next time you go, stay in a hostel.
That's what
we
I hear.
always used to go to Planet Traveler. Shout out Planet Traveler.
Okay.
The guy who owns it is so cool. He, if it's still the same, I mean, we haven't been there in years, but he every night would host just events for people.
Yeah.
So when we went, he had like burgers on the roof for
sick.
everybody, like just on his own dime.
Yeah.
And it was a really cool place. And like, if you don't mind being in a hostel, like when we went, we met some guy from Australia and we just like took him with us for the night. Like we had an extra concert ticket. We took him with us. We went out drinking. It was great. You meet cool people when you do stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you can't
that
be
does sound
afraid
awesome.
to like rough it a little bit.
I love that shit. That's like what I live for. So I'll.
And we were all just on bunks. We each had a locker.
Yeah, I
they
love
do
that.
private rooms
Yeah.
too, which we've also done, which it's like a bed and a mirror.
Right.
And
yeah, I'm not. I actually, Max just told me about hostels. I didn't even know that was a thing, but it
Yeah.
sounds cool. And I like, I'm
definitely do Planet Traveler.
Yeah, that sounds cool. I'm gonna have to look into that for sure. But yeah, Toronto was. I mean, we went to Ottawa. It was my first time going to Ottawa. Ottawa's sick.
Never been.
Very, very cool city. And then we went to Waterloo, which was fine.
Same Waterloo that ABBA sings about? Different Waterloo.
I don't know.
They won Eurovision with that.
Wow, noted. Shout out ABBA.
I'm a disco.
Oh, are you?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. Why?
I don't know. My dad says that too. I think he's ashamed of my love for disco.
Yeah. It's just interesting. I just don't know a lot of people who.
I know. Nobody
into it, yeah.
really is like, you're a disco? Yeah.
Right.
I could talk about disco all day. Where should I even start?
I don't know. We can do that as a part 2 if you want. We can just do a
Sure,
full
yeah,
disco
dude.
episode. Yeah.
Well, in quick summary, heavy bass lines. I
Sure.
love an orchestral fantasy. It's fun. You can also have sad disco. I just love it. But
Okay.
I grew up, my dad was a bass player, so I
Yeah.
love heavy bass lines.
Yeah.
So funk, disco, soul.
I feel like you and my buddy
what
Rory
I
would
listen
get
to.
along. My buddy Rory loves all that kind of shit.
And everyone, when they hear what I listen to, they're like, are you 70? I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, kinda. Pretty much.
Right. Yeah, you grow up with older parents. I guess
I
that's
do.
what
I
happened,
I
yeah.
grew up with some good music,
I believe
honestly.
it. I mean, my dad's like a huge Beatles guy.
I
so-
love the Beatles.
Yeah, Beatles.
My dad
Beach
doesn't like the
Boys.
Beatles though.
Really?
He's a Stones guy.
He
would always
I love
perform-
Stones though too.
He would always perform one Beatles song for me. It was
Which
very
was?
cute. You can't do that.
Oh, old school Beatles song.
Old school
Yeah.
Beatles song. I think
Yeah.
it's the only one he could tolerate.
Yeah, I love the Beatles. I'm like a Beatles connoisseur.
Love him.
And yeah, Stones, Beach Boys.
Who's your favorite Beatle?
Probably Paul.
Me too.
Yeah. I was a John Lennon guy for a long time.
He would be canceled so hard
yeah.
now.
Oh yeah.
Good thing he died.
Unreal.
I mean, okay, if
Yeah.
John Lennon was around right now, he
Yeah,
would be
no, you're right.
annihilated.
You're
He
right.
died on top, dude.
Yeah.
People are sad about his death.
Yeah, I was a big John guy. Like I read like multiple books on
So
John
have I.
Lennon. Yeah. But yeah, he was just, I don't know. He was kind of a dick, and he was much more about like the image of the Beatles, like the idea of the Beatles, where Paul was really the true like artist.
Yeah.
Like,
Did you
he
watch
was-
that the Disney thing?
I sure did.
That made me like Paul a little less.
See,
Like
it made me like him more.
it showed me how
he was the
good he
leader.
is. I mean, he's fucking fantastic musician.
Yeah.
He would be like, "Oh, this is what it needs to sound like."
Right.
And he just played it and they were like, "Okay, we'll go
Yeah.
that way." But he was a little too snooty. A little bit too snooty.
Yeah.
I mean, he pissed off George. George walked out.
Right, I know. I also think George was being a little bitch. George was being very testy.
Controversial takes.
Yeah.
I like Ringo. He's very unproblematic.
Yeah, but
he's very smiley.
You can't write a song to save his life.
No,
but,
bad, but happy.
Yeah. Also, incredible drummer.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
One of my favorite drummers, one of my newest favorites bands right now is Crew Angbin. Have you ever listened to them?
Sounds extremely familiar.
They're very good. It's a 3-piece band.
Okay.
Laura Lee is the best bassist. She is so cool. Follow her on Instagram. She's got amazing outfits. We're going to see them at Art Park in August. They'll be here. But it's a bassist, a guitarist, and a drummer. And
They headlining Art Park?
Yeah.
Interesting.
They have a lot of songs with Leon Bridges now.
Yo, I know. I think I'm going to this concert.
Yeah.
I think this is the band. What is that one song? What's the one song with Leon Bridges that's like very big right now by them? I know what it starts with a K. The band starts with a K, right?
Crew Angbin, yeah.
Yeah.
The one that's B-side is good. It's not that one, though.
I don't know. I know exactly what this band is because I had this exact conversation with my girlfriend.
But the drummer is
from the
fantastic.
Bon
He's
Iver
like
concert.
hip-hop beats, kind of.
Yeah.
He's really good.
They're sick. I actually
He's like
think
a jazz drummer.
I think I'm actually going to that show. So
you should be. Well, so is Mallory from the Strip Teasers. I think they're trying to get a bus together. This is for after the
got
podcast.
it. Yeah.
But either way.
All right. Well, that might be something I'm in for. That sounds fun. Fuck, I had something I was going to say. We were just talking about the Beatles, but I love Paul because Paul was the clear leader of the band and he wrote the best fucking shit and he was an insane bass player. I watched the first part of that.
I want one of his basses.
Yeah, the Hofner basses.
They're so tiny. I need a small instrument.
Okay, well, there you go. Get that one.
Yeah. It doesn't look cool enough, though.
Really? I think the Hofner...
I mean, it's beautiful. It looks like a viola.
Right.
But
yeah,
I want like a...
bass is what they refer to it as.
Oh, violin.
Yeah. Well, same fucking shit. You were on the right.
Viola's a little deeper sounding.
Yeah. I played the viola.
So did my sister.
Wow.
I played the saxophone.
There you go.
4th grade, baby.
Yeah.
Not doing it now.
I see you as a sax person, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
All right.
I got no explanation for it.
I try and play the bass now.
Yeah.
I play piano sometimes.
There you go.
I'm only as good as I, tell myself I am.
Right. And
that's all you need.
It's the effort you put into it. If you start playing it every day, you'll get really good at it,
I know. My dad used to make me take lessons.
Yeah. I mean, I took guitar lessons growing up.
Really?
It was helpful.
I remember my piano recital, I played Fiorelise.
Whoa. I love that song.
I do too.
Yeah.
I could play like some of it.
Yeah.
Still.
That's sick.
It was all right. It was like
It's a good party trick. If someone's got a piano, you just roll up.
Start playing classical music at a party.
Yeah.
That's all I can do. That part, and then I'm all set.
Okay, I can do that part too.
All right, Aiden. Well, you were not my recital, were you?
That's fair.
No, I did a piano bit once. That was for like character night at Nietzsche's.
Yeah.
Have you?
I was out. I think
you weren't there for that.
Probably not that one, but I was. My first night I went up was a character night.
It was?
Yeah.
Oh, was it the villain
Yes.
night? I don't think I was there for that.
Yeah. No, I think you were getting your gallbladder out.
Oh yeah, I was getting my gallbladder out.
But yeah, that was the first night I ever went up, and I didn't know like it was a themed night that night.
That sucks.
Yeah, but it was fine.
You were like, "Hey, I'm Aiden.
Right.
I don't know what you guys are doing."
My thing
but
was like not everybody did a themed. Like not everybody who went up.
The theme night when I did it, everyone did something pretty cool.
Yeah.
I did Concussed Kathy on the keys because I'd just gotten a concussion.
Nice.
So I was like, I don't know what to do. And it was inspired by like my dad and all the musicians I grew up watching because everyone, at least when I would watch, they would take fucking forever to get to the next song. So I just would keep playing the intro to Easy by the Commodores.
Okay.
And then I would just start talking. I'd be like, before I get into this, like,
it's
really important that I tell you, like, where it's coming from in my heart and, like, whatever. And then I'd lead up to it again and be like, guys, it's super,
I like that. That's a good
Maybe
bit.
I'll do it again.
Did it work well?
I don't remember. I was concussed, dude. Like, it was truly, like,
fair.
2 days after a concussion. And I was like, ooh, all right.
Yeah.
We'll throw that together. That's comedy, baby. Hit your head and then make it work.
There we go. We're putting that on a t-shirt. We're going to market that.
Hit your head and make it work.
Yeah.
I'll buy it.
Sarah, we've been talking for a while now.
Quite some time.
And we went all over the board, which I loved.
Love it. That's what you get with me, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's why we became friends like quickly. It was like, oh, we understand each other for sure. Yeah. Well, Sarah, do you have any shows coming up?
I have one more show coming up. It's tomorrow though, so it won't be.
Yeah, you're not
I'm hosting the Strip Teasers. It's one of my favorite gigs to do.
The roast tomorrow.
After the roast tomorrow, I host the Strip Teasers.
Yeah, this will be up next Monday. So.
Well, for all of you that went to see it, I'm glad you enjoyed the show. I probably nailed it.
There you go. Nice.
They're fun to do. It's multifaceted.
And then you're going to New York for a month.
I'm going to New York for a month. I'll be back in August.
Damn, so this is the last time I'm going to see you till August? Are
going to Nietzsche's tomorrow?
No, probably not.
You going anywhere before July 1st?
Yeah, I'll probably hit some mics this
Yeah,
week.
I'll see you.
All right.
We'll see each other.
Sounds good.
Don't
and
cry
then when
for
you,
me.
You don't. Well, you have to go figure things out before you officially.
We have a lot of
move, right?
loose ends to tie up, and then we're not in a rush. We have a lot to figure out before we officially move, because I'd rather have a little bit of a plan.
Sure.
Before moving to the big city.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
we'll see how it goes.
Definitely want to plan. Sarah, what's your Sarah Morello on? That's just your social media on
Sarah
Twitter
with
and
no
Instagram?
H _ Morello.
Yeah. Okay.
That's me.
Perfect. I'll throw it in the description as well. Sarah, thanks for coming on the I Am Your Friend podcast.
My pleasure.
I wish you well. And for everybody else listening, at some point between probably in August until who knows when, you'll be able to see her do stand up in Buffalo for a little bit longer. So we'll see you then.
All right.